one big road with a lot of
Wayne Marshall, or Wayne Mitchell, better known by his stage name Wayne Marshall, is a dancehall DJ, philanthropist, prolific writer, YouTube and social media influencer, TikTok star, and family man. He has done musical collaborations with the likes of Jamie Foxx, Bounty Killer, Damian Marley, Vibes Cartel, Sean Paul, Tablet T, and countless others. Too many to mention right here. Today we journey with Wayne Marshall. Wayne, welcome to the Easy Skanking, and thank you so much for agreeing to taking us on your journey and sharing with us. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Kishima. It's good to be here as
I hear
usual.
you saying thank you, but I'm not hearing you, Wayne.
Are you hearing me now? Hearing
I
me a
am
little bit
hearing
better?
you now, loud and clear. You loud and
Loud and
clear.
clear. All right,
Thank
good.
you so much for taking us on your journey. But let's just, jump right into it with the foundation. Describe the household and the principles that you grew up on.
Well, I grew up with my mother and my father and one brother, my brother Tariq. We grew up in a loving household. Uh, I was born in Barbican, um, did prep school at Woolmer's Prep, left Woolmer's Prep and went to Woolmer's Boys. But all I can remember of my childhood was my parents were definitely integral in the person that I am now, I am today. And they laid the foundations for the man I am today by example, you know. I saw a very wholesome family structure with my mother and my father. God rest my father's soul. It's actually 3 years to the day, June 10th, that he passed away.
Wow.
Um, yes, today. So today is always a rough day, and it's always a day that we always reflect on his memories. And he was a strong father. No matter what he was going through, is really now that I'm a big man, I would find out some of the pressures that he was facing, and it wasn't evident at that point. He distanced us from his struggle, work to work, day to day struggle. And which was a great thing and a great example for me that I don't put my stress or my pressures on my children. I try to separate them from that and show them a positive side of me. I mean it's all a balance, but I give thanks for the role that he played in my life and for the house that I grew up in. Definitely, I attribute everything that I am today to the upbringing that I was given through mommy and daddy and my brother.
And which makes it even more spectacular. A big thank you, Wayne, for agreeing on this day, June 10, to take us on your journey. Um, Now, mommy and daddies always have some moments that, they are teaching us along the way, especially, as youth coming up. Can you recall a significant memory or moment or lesson that your mom and dad has taught you that still resonates with you today as an adult?
I think from early, my father especially introduced the fact responsibilities to me in the way of household chores and stuff, and we definitely had things that we had to do on a daily basis, or whether it be weekend by weekend. We had stuff that we were assigned to, and I realized now that it was really teaching me the responsibility that life would definitely require of me eventually. As you grow older, as you evolve, especially when you leave home where you're kind of on your own. Responsibility is a big part of life, and yeah, I treasure those experiences, even though as a youth, there were times when I wouldn't see eye to eye with my parents and my father. I used to consider him strict and, overbearing sometime. But I mean, no, later in life, I had such a wonderful relationship with him because I become a parent and realized that all he was doing is making sure that I had all of the qualities that would be, that I would need
Mm-hmm.
along the journey, of life.
Yes.
So it was beautiful how our relationship unfolded as I grew older and understood what he was doing when I was a child. But there were times as a young youth where you kind of rebel and I said, John, no, sir, and a beer hold down thing in that house, yeah, and,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which is leading me to my next question, because being in high school, Woolman's boys.
yeah.
What type of student were you? And you're alluding to some of the teenage rebellion that happened in your household, and how you felt about it.
Yeah. I would say I was a decent student. I was an average student, I would say. Um, my mother last week brought some of her records, so because she carefully recorded all of my
Mm-hmm.
end of term results and stuff. Looking back, I thought I was a much better student, but when I saw all of the results and even and even what the teachers would say, always speaking in class and stuff. But I think that was really me, the entertainer, trying to come out where I would hear something in class and put a comedic spin on it or put a lyrical twist to it. So it wasn't necessarily trouble that I was giving. Put it this way, if I would give a joke in class, or the teacher herself or himself would be laughing too. So I think that was really my initial starting to become an entertainer, or engaging people and making them laugh, or even looking at words and seeing the deeper meaning beyond the surface, finding my own outlook or perspective on it. And that was what built me, I think, as a songwriter and as an entertainer. Um, those days at school, I mean, even before Woolmer's, when I was making the transition from prep school to Woolmer's Boys, is where I made a move from Barbican to Hope Pastures. And as
Mm-hmm.
fate would have it, I moved 3 gates down the road from King Jammies, the
Mm.
great super producer King Jammies. And
Yeah.
it was at that point where I started to interact with his kids. So my love for music that I had kind of tied into the love that they had just naturally being in the environment,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would take those experiences being at King Jammy's studio and just interacting with them and the music to school, and then I would DJ and sing every day and emulate the great artists of
Mm-hmm.
the time, and that would just build me, and kind of, that was my first encouragement into the fact that I could probably become a artist or a musician in the future.
Now, what did your parents think about your newfound love of music and how you were DJing and singing? Was this a career path or something that they supported initially?
No, definitely not, because they weren't, trained musicians or didn't have careers in anything in the creative field or musical field. So
Mm-hmm.
they were always skeptical about my desire to become an artist, because at that point you kind of think, no, man, you just not want to go to school. You want to have fun and party and, sing and rare and entertain people. But that is, just like I think any parent would be skeptical of that career choice, because at the end of the day, you really have to love what you're doing and you have to be committed to it. You can't just say, boy, I feel like I don't want to be a musician, and then you neglect every other aspect of schooling
Mm-hmm.
because you think that this is where you want to be. So I really had a lot of convincing to do. I had to show that I really was committed to the arts, and I had to show that there was actually something there where talent is
Mm-hmm.
concerned. So there were those moments where my parents were just like, musician thing and whatever. But I mean, I had a very deep love. I had a very, very deep love, and I knew that personally. And at the end of the day, external forces can't tell you what you have bubbling inside of you. You
Mm-hmm.
have to
True.
dictate and determine that. So
Even though
I mean,
Jamaican parents different, they will tell you. Your
Jamaican
Jamaican
parents will,
parents will tell you.
and I would even go as far as to say parents all over the
In
world,
general.
parents want you
Mm-hmm.
to, have that sure shot thing, because the creative arts, and being a creative, you're as good as your last creation. You always have to be blessed with the creative juice, to sustain a career in music or art or, whatever that is. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I always knew that this was a fire that was burning within me, and I was committed to it. As early when I was a teenager, we had a sound system that we made with King Jammy's son. So I used to select sound system and talk on microphone and them thing there as a little young youth, and them little thing that would have made me understand how it feels to command a crowd and you kind of MC a party, So those are early little experiences that I got to really give me a taste of how, the world behind the microphone was.
Which you just walked right into my next question too, because like you said, King Jammies was basically, early in your career, you were linked to the stable of this legendary producer. How did this foundation set you up for greatness on your musical journey?
Well, definitely it had all to do with it, because I would start going to King Jammy's studio with King from I was like 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. We
Wow.
would be going to a summer holidays tripping. We're jumping into King car almost every day and going down to the studio. So I was like a fly on the wall, just observing studio sessions, mixing sessions. And, the whole family was music, from John, CJ, Jam 2, everybody had some role to play in the studio. And, we were just always there. I remember um, just being there. You see Sanchez coming in and singing some great hit songs. Bushman, Black Uhuru, you name it. Caperton would walk through the studio daily. And I remember a day that changed my life completely was when Trev, which is one of King Jammy's sons, came home and said, "Boy, Marshy, not even Marshy them time, the boy Wayne, my father find the wickedest artist." And this was probably about when I was young teenager, probably about 13, same way. And he said, my father find the baddest artist. And I said, what name? And he said, Bounty Hunter, Bounty Killer. And I said, yo, that name that's sick, And he said, yo, the wickedest artist, he gonna run the place. And I said, yo, bring on some music so we can listen it. Because at that time we used to love music. So I remember hearing the first Bounty Killer song them times as a little before Killer even bust out big. I mean, right now I don't even remember which one of the song them, Copper Shatter, one of them early Killer. I mean, I say, yo, when we hear it, I say, the game changed right here, so. And it's like, it almost like, it inspired me then that I wanted to be a part of dancehall and reggae, at that point. So, and it also shows people how early I was introduced to Bounty, even before me and him had a musical relationship. I was just like a super fan, but a super fan that was privy to his beginning stories, early story, This little uptown youth live a whole past us. Me not supposed to really have a understanding of all of these little things that going on from the heart of Waterhouse, but I was there. So
And we're gonna get to the details of Killer later on in your story and on your journey. But it's brilliant that at 13 you were still able to identify that this sound that he was coming with and the kind of energy and vibration is something that would change the landscape and the industry at only 13.
Definitely. We're studying, we're listening to sound clash tapes and tapes of great performers, Admiral Bailey, Yellow Man, the whole 80s era of artists. You come up into the 90s, now you have someone like Exodus and Kilimanjaro. We were such big fans of the sound clash, art, and then that would kind of give us a different relationship with the artists, because you would hear singers like Jimmy Cliff and Ainika Mose and Barrington Levy singing dub plates of their popular songs and customizing their lyrics to kill sound. And, them thing there was, it was mind blowing how that all came together. And it made me a real student of the game. And as I said, the next chapter was even playing sound system and them thing there.
So how did the Ward 21 connection happen? Tell us about that.
Well, Ward 21 connection came about just naturally too, because being around King Jammies, they were our age. They were my age, King Trevor and Jam 2 age. But they were selectors and King Jammies sound who were making the transition into studio engineering. So what we did was we had relationships as brethren and friends. And eventually now our relationship started to grow in the music. So they would be our little inroad into hearing ourselves in the studio. Because King Jam is never know say we did serious about music. Right? King Jam is
Yes.
just see we as the little youth up the road where love come a studio with him. But War 21 now, Rumblood and Suko and Conley and Mark, they would be able to now see our love and see our talent that we had. So when King Jam is going in at the night now, when we start becoming a little older now, we can stay over now and stay at studio
Yeah.
late in the night. And then it was them who were recording us and they started writing them times and we were starting to take writing seriously. So it was like a little camp we had, a little academy amongst us where we were sharpening each other, iron sharp
Mm-hmm.
iron and stuff, and while I was at the studio and dreaming of being an artist, when I went to school, one of my best friends at school was Ricardo Gardner. And the reggae boys were now doing their thing,
Oh,
road to
yeah.
98 World Cup. So here it was now, my party at school, Bibi Gardner, who was destined for greatness in his own right, and being that example for me to see with my own eyes that we can be great even
Mm-hmm.
at as young as we were. So here it was now, Bibi get called into the World Cup system as a little youth, and we always had the belief that he had the quality to be international and to compete on an international level, even though you would hear people say, boy, no, man, him too maga and too this and that. So when I saw that example now, when I saw this play now as a youth who would eat
Youth.
lunch with at
Mm-hmm.
daytime and, he who playing sports with us as schoolers, going to this professional level, it really something switched on into me at that point that it was real. The dream that we had to be great as young youths was a real dream, and we could do it because it was an example that I could have see and feel and touch. So here it is now we get birthed into World Cup, and Bibi now become this great professional. So that was just more inspiration for me
Mm-hmm.
at the time to say, yo, we're gonna take this thing serious, we're gonna take this thing serious. So at that time now we start becoming, in our older teenage, we start getting a little more trouble now and you know, I remember we start go party now and them something there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there was a big accident in 1998 where I lost my friend and I was in the car and that was life changing. It was life changing on many
Because
levels
around
because
this
it
around
was
around that same time your career was on the brink of, you getting that big break.
definitely, definitely. We were really sharpening our talent now, by 97, 98, really taking it serious. So my friend, his name was Nicholas Lulin, Jairus is his soul. That was 1998, so years ago, when we were young youths and we were coming home from a party and a car run up in our car and the car spin out from Mandela Highway and, long and short of it was he passed away and it moved us and it could have either broken us or it could have made us stronger. And I decided that I would make me stronger. And I said that I would write a song and dedicate it to him on the day of his funeral. And when I sang in the church and I went home the evening, I remember my father called me upstairs and he said to me, boy, something happened in the church today and I really believe now that the music is a calling of yours. And he said,
Wow.
go and go make some millions in the music. And because my father was a man of very little words,
Mm-hmm.
he knew, and we all knew that we would have to take his words very to heart then. So that was all the motivation I could ever want to really dive full head first into the music. And I will remember that for all of my days. That was the most inspirational, the most, that's the biggest push that I've ever gotten. And it came out of a negative situation. It came out of, burying one of
Mm-hmm.
my dearest friends. So after that, now I was just like, all right, full speed ahead. Started writing every day, recording every day, just building myself and, really feeling motivated and inspired, you know. I don't know if I don't want to talk. I have your week for question them because we only
Yeah,
have a
but
certain amount of time. So you have to guide me, Kishima. Tell me what
yeah,
about it,
yes, definitely. There was a moment I wanted to go back to with Mikey Bennett. I know you had an audition with him in your younger years, and you had gone, to say you doing the audition, and you felt really excited. Share with us that interaction and the message he gave you when you went for that audition, and how you channeled what he said to you.
Well, it was all, I mean, it's funny because we reached basically the same time now, right? So I am thinking that, yo, I'm ready for the world, I'm ready to mash up the place
Mm-hmm.
now and thing, and I really feel confident in my talent that I, can be a musician and compete at certain levels. So one of my close virgins now from school, because we're still schoolers. One of my virgins from school, Jesse Golden, said, listen, I have an uncle, Mikey Bennett, a top producer. We need to go to him because what I mean? I feel like he might have, he might have the resources to push it to our next level. So I say, all right, set it up with him. So we stay so now and go around Grafton studio now one day and Mikey Bennett was conducting a studio session, right? So the studio ram with beer musician and beer things and we walk into the studio so we didn't wanna go and wait our
Mm-hmm.
turn. So them say, hey, what you say? You want to turn artist? I'm say, yes, boss, I feel like I'm ready for them. And they must say, all right, and then press play. So like a song was played in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So him say, sing what you hear, and him press play and then him pause it and him say, sing back that. So me done plan out my song and my lyrics, so me have when me have a bus for them. So him throw me left field now because I must say sing that. So I say, so now I say, all right, now nerves are killing me because I'm beer musician and beer thing in the
Mm-hmm.
studio. So I'm sing my thing now and swear say I'm licking cheek now, because I'm sing after the thing
Yeah.
and he must say, boy, I want to tell you say you don't read this already yet. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, me not ready. Me never said that, but in my mind. Because it goes a
Mm-hmm.
little, you
Mm-hmm.
just feel like say, yo, you're ready for the world.
Yeah.
The truth is I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I had a lot of raw talent, but I was very raw.
You
I was
need to be
very,
nurtured.
untrained and need
Mm-hmm.
to be nurtured. It's like a rough diamond where you pull out of the ground. It's not ready to sell yet. It have to polish down and shine down and cut. And so him said to me, say, take my foolish advice and go to voice training. So I say, all right, sir, everything good. Me shame. But at the end of the day, me really take on what him say. And I say, "All right, you know what? I go book a voice training and then start do that thing there. Because if I say I go take this thing serious, might
Mm-hmm.
as well me deal with it on a professional level. So I say, all right, if a voice training next, a voice training I go do. And I started my voice training and with every voice training class, there's this Cuban woman, Miss Schleifer, who started voice training, and she said, "Did you know that I trained Shaggy and I trained Capleton for a while?" And I said, "What? Them the big name?" Them I said,
Mm-hmm.
"All right, me like all that
You
sound."
ready?
And I think even Bounty went to Miss Schleifer
Mm-hmm.
for a few classes and thing, and still so I start go to Miss Schleifer now. And every time I went back to the studio, War 21, Conley and Suku them would be saying, "Yo, you sound sweet, brother. Yo, John will come in like, yeah, get me. Ready for the world. It's like every time you go vice training, even though you don't feel it, it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like you go to the gym and there's just another little gain that you get, another little gain that you get. But
Another
those
step
around
up.
you
Mm-hmm.
were able to hear. So it's something important. It's something that I advise anybody who really want to take music serious is to don't shy away from the theory of the music and the training aspect. Learning an instrument and those things is priceless in taking up a musical career and really being in control of that creative ability that you have as a natural talent.
After voice training, at what point did you come to the realization that yes, this is something that you can really do and developed the confidence to put yourself out there to becoming the Wayne Marshall that you are today? At what point on the journey did that realization click to you?
Well, I started doing dub plates. War 21 started to carry me on the road with them. So I
Mm-hmm.
started performing with them now, and we would really be electric, because them time the War 21 I run the place. whole heap of dub plate do a daytime and whole heap of shows happening every weekend. And, you know, they would carry me on the road and we would perform and girls are scream and whole heap of phone calls start happening and you know you really start build a buzz and people start recognizing the street now as an artist and as Wayne Marshall. I mean, I say, wow, this thing look like it seriously can get a buzz, you know. My parents now would have probably even hear from them friends now say, yo, your son doing well, man, because I saw it, man, you know, this show or that show, or maybe we'll start getting a little buzz now. I don't even think we did get our own songs on the radio just yet, but we were right there, you know. The buzz was starting because I saw it go there. Sometimes you get a bus, but the bus is not really an
Mm-hmm.
island-wide bus. It's just amongst the sound selectors. So the sound selectors start coming to you for a dub plate. They say, there is weed smoke in the air, lots of high grade everywhere. I say, give me
Hey,
a light.
hey.
Soundman them start calling and say, yo, give me that tune. And me have a next thing and I say, I dare you, choo, to come against me. And then we end up now in the studio one night and may I do a song for Jam 2, which is one of King Jammy's sons. You know, Jam 2 name big in a production all over the world now, but them time I was just a start out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember me did have a couple more lines to complete a verse to go back to the chorus. And then I said, true, true, to catch back the bar, because I never really have much to say. And Jam 2 paused the tape and said, Marshall, if you know a good feel, you never left us something there. True, true. I'm going to say, yo. And him say, yo,
True.
it have a thing about it. I see from that day, I say, true, true, true. Woo, woo, woo. And people are say, yo, see the slogan there. So people start know me now for the slogan. So when you
Yeah.
get a slogan, that means that you're on the way now to becoming a real artist.
Yes.
Because
And
everybody have to have that. You have to say, whoa, whoa. Or you have to say, hey, yo, hello. Or
yeah,
who
true,
there?
true.
You have to have that. Zagazo, you have to have that something there. So when you get that now,
Mm-hmm.
it's like everything I conspire now and I come together. So at that point now, we say, Trev say, yo, I have to go find back Killer, you know, because I really feel like we are a part of
Before
Killer crew.
before we get to Bounty, because I know the
Yeah.
Bounty story is going to be extensive, we're going to go for a quick break to Cashpot. So listen up to your top draw dollars. Pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick, and Cashpot lunchtime draws up next.
You are what you drink. Your premium. Enjoy Heineken specials at your favorite bars. Drink responsibly. Socialize responsibly. The Time by